Making kibbeh nayeh. We've got our ingredients: salt, cinnamon, allspice, black pepper, cracked wheat bulgur that's been soaking overnight in cool water, and a pulverized onion. White onion that you put in a blender with ice cubes and water, and you turn it into mush and you drain it. And the main ingredient, we got a first cut of the top, trimmed very lean. And what we're going to do is take off a little bit of extra fat that's still on here. So that there's absolutely no fat in this grind. And then we're going to put it through a meat grinder, and you can see the diameter of the holes in the meat grinder are very thick. And we're going to run it through twice with that thicker meat grinder, through that thicker grind, and then we're going to run it through a final time with that thinner grind. And what it's going to do is any of the marbling that's there in the meat is going to either get caught up in the blades and be in the grinder, so we have to clean it every time we run it through to get rid of that silver skin and the fat that's going to be there. And then that final grind will make it really, really fine and blend in all of the fat in with the meat. And there's very little of it to begin with. The top round is one of the leanest cuts you can get, which is one of the reasons you buy it. And it's also one of the most flavorful. So I'm going to come back when we're doing the grinding so you can see what it comes out like, and then I'll talk to you in a couple of minutes. So get the beef cut. We're just going to cut it into slices and pieces and strips that are going to wind up easily going into that grinder and pulling themselves in. And in the process, if we find any big veins of fat, we're going to cut those out. Okay, grinding time. You've got this nice commercial meat grinder, but you don't need something that's quite this big. Now this is all cleaned, of course, and sterilized, and that we might got to use the plunger because you don't want your fingers in there. Right here? Yeah. That's a little. Okay, I got it. So there's our coarse grind. We'll come back to the fine. So now we're going to turn off the grinder, and we're going to make sure that this blade, you get all the silver skin and fat out. And what you do is you unlock it, turn the grinder on for a second with your fingers away, and it'll pop the blade out. And then take out the little auger, and you'll see in here that a lot of it's meat. It's in good shape, but you'll see the silver skin all cut around the cutting blade. It actually twists itself and winds itself around. So we're going to take all that off and run it through one more time. Here comes our second grind, and you can see that the meat is already evening out, and you don't see quite as much fat. Don't let any of that go away, because it's delicious. This one's pretty good. If you can keep the meat without a lot of air in between the layers, it'll keep suctioning it into the grinder, and it'll do its own work. You don't have to press very much. Okay, when you get toward the end of the grind, you want to take a handful or two of meat and push it back in, so you make sure that everything gets that double grind. And the last bits are going to get triple grind, but that's okay, because we want it satiny. And you can see how beautiful. Look at the color of that. There's almost no fat. It's visible. So we're going to do the same thing. We also have to change the blade. we're gonna take the screw off, cut the power, drop the blade out, and get rid of the whatever silver skin is left, and there should be even less now. Look, it's almost clean. So we got rid of all that horrible silver skin. Either chopped it up or caught it on the blade. Put this back in place. I'm gonna put the second blade on, and you can see the difference in the diameter of the holes on this one. This is the fine grind. Bowl and grind it back into this one. The only reason we do that is because this bowl is smaller and it fits underneath the grinder easily. So check this out. Watch what this comes out like. It's going to come out like spaghetti strings. Look how beautiful and uniform that meat is. So this is all going to get ground through once, and then we'll start mixing and seasoning. So now we're ready to do the mixing. And what we're going to do is we're going to ice a big bowl. And we're going to save the ice and the water for that, because we're going to be adding that into the meat mixture. And that's just going to soften it up. We're going to put our meat into the bowl. And we're going to put the onion, the pureed onion without the water. And we spoon off, we can spoon off on the top. And then with the strainer, on the strainer, we're going to get rid of the rest of the water and see all that come out. And what it's going to do is it's going to dry all that nasty oniony liquid and just give us a nice pulp without the flavoring that's going to really change the flavor of the Kibbeh nayyeh. And it goes to about half of what it was. So that was two large onions. And then primary spice is allspice. And we're going to dust the top of the meat with the allspice. And this is, by the way, this is a 7-pound roast that we did. So allspice, we're going to give it a good heavy dusting. And then black pepper is next, not too much. It's a lesser amount of black pepper. So it's going to be a lighter dusting. I like dusting with salt, with the black pepper. I'm just going to equal amount. Salt goes a lot further, and then we're going to put a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of cinnamon. Okay. Not much. Now we're going to get our cracked wheat, and just like we strained the water out of the onion, we're going to do that with the cracked wheat. So we'll rinse our strainer out, get rid of more of that juice. Take a couple of handfuls. So get that wheat bulgur, and this is actually pretty dry right now. I'm going to squeeze out some of the excess water. So that's dry. It's funny because we squeeze the water out of the ingredients, but we're going to add water into the meat as we're mixing it to soften it. And that's our mixture. Now, the mixing. You're going to push it down into the bowl and you're going to squeeze it through your fingers so that you even up all the spices. A lot of people mix their spice into the cracked wheat and even it all out so that when you mix it in the meat, there are no little dark spots of allspice or black pepper. And I don't like to do that. I like to season the meat so that you're not seasoning one of the other ingredients that are there and it's not picking it up. But you can see that sometimes in the meat, when it has a pocket of spice, it turns black, and you got to knead through that. So So the meat is very stiff right now, so I'm going to put in some ice water. And it's going to serve two purposes. It's going to help soften the meat, and I just added about a cup and a half, 7 pounds of meat. There's a lot of meat here. And what that's going to do is it's going to loosen up the meat, and it's also going to ice it a little bit more. So it stays icy cold, and you want to do that because you want the meat preserved and fresh and beautiful. And this typically in the Middle East is made with lamb, but we make it with beef. It's more readily available, and it's much easier to get a large cut of it. Nice healthy cut of beef without having to bone it like a lamb, which is hard work. So, and then along the way, you take a piece of it and taste it. What do we need? Allspice? A little more salt?
Not much.
No more salt?
Just a little bit. Okay.
Okay. That was just a thing. A little more allspice?
Yeah.
Not much.
Enough.
And a little more water? Get it a little softer?
Not too much. Not too much. A little bit. It's got you.
What? I don't want to put any more wheat bulgur in. I think we got plenty.
That's enough.
Yeah, there's plenty in there. I don't like it.
All right.
I don't like it too wet. So I'm going to put the water right on top of the allspice and liquefy that. Knead it into the meat. And the meat gets more satiny. Instead of being stiff and really hard and dense and like you're eating a steak, it gets kind of satiny and light, which is what we want. I'm going to chill my hands down in this ice water because they're getting warm, and I don't want it to warm the meat. We'll be back when we arrange it on a plate. We just put about 5 pounds of it on a large platter. What we're going to do is we're going to form a pad. What Dad's doing is just poking where the spices are, because he sees a dark spot and he doesn't like any dark spots on it because it's not appetizing looking. So he's poking them into the rest of the meat. What we're going to do is we're going to form a patty, and then we're going to take a fork and we're going to mash it down with the fork. And it's going to even it out, and then we're going to use the same fork to draw some lines on it so it makes it look a little more appetizing still. Edge it. This is about 5 of the 7 pounds on one platter. I always like to make a little extra to put aside for the next night. And what you can do with it is you can put it in the freezer for an hour or a couple of hours, and then take it out. Don't let it freeze solid, but just to ice it, and then take it out and put it in the fridge and let it thaw out for the next day, and it'll be just as good the next day. You can't do that over and over again with it, obviously, but for one day, it's not a bad thing. So we're just evening this all out right now, and we're going to draw the lines on it very shortly, and we're going to make a diamond pattern with this fork, which is Dad's trademark. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to smooth it once in one direction. Now we're going to draw our lines. 2, 3, 4. That's it.